Hi, guys, and welcome back to the Rare Wellness Podcast, the podcast designed to help you heal holistically and give you the tools that you need to thrive. We're making it easy to understand medicine and wellness with practical steps from the experts, one podcast at a time. The only thing that we ask is that if this episode today helps you live just a little bit better or more aligned, that you'll leave us a review and share it with a friend. That's all that we ask so that we can continue to provide you with free, valuable knowledge from the experts of well-being on every episode. Today we're going to be talking to and about women, but not just any women, pregnant women. I'm getting to that age where a lot of my friends are having babies, and I'm starting to realize quickly, like, I don't know a lot. They don't even know a lot. And we have so many questions. Like, I have a lot of questions. They have questions like, what happens to your body? There's new pain. How do you deal with it? What's healthy during pregnancy? What treatments can you do versus not do? And even if you're not pregnant, this episode will help you better understand what your body is capable of and even better how to deal with it when the time does come. And if you are, great. We're going to have so many helpful tips for you today. Then this episode is for you too, because chances are someone you know who is close to you is going to get pregnant at some point in their life. And it's awesome for you to be able to be there and have ways to support them through that. So yeah, today we're going to be chatting about what happens to a woman's body during pregnancy. We're going to talk about how to help women navigate those changes. We'll go over some tips and treatments that can make the pregnancy journey a bit better. And we're also just going to talk about women's health in general, and how to get the support that you need, whether you're expecting, thinking about it, or just curious about the subject. This episode has some great information for you. So today, our guest is Dr. Jalana. We're going to be interviewing her. She's a former collegiate athlete who now specializes in providing chiropractic care, manual therapy, and rehab for athletes, active parents, and pregnant women. She has a deep passion for working with women during pregnancy, throughout their journey, and their transition into motherhood, and understanding the incredible changes that our bodies go through. She also offers specialized treatments for TMJ pain. Dr. Jelena co-owns Built to Move Chiropractic and Sports Rehabilitation. Thank you so much for coming on this podcast.
Oh
I'm
my
so excited
gosh.
to you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I feel like this is a topic that truly, like, just in general, women's health is not understood or talked about enough.
Yeah.
But then even particularly like during pregnancy, like a couple of my close friends right now are like in their second and third trimesters, and
Yeah.
it's just like we don't even know where to go to get
Yeah.
the resources that we need.
Yeah.
Um,
I
yeah.
feel like it's that way in general with women's health, like whether you're pregnant or not. It's just like we're just now starting to research women's health, and I feel like people are finally fed up with not having answers about their body in general as a woman. So, yeah, and then throw pregnancy into it, and it's just like this whole new realm of the unknown. So, yeah.
No, 100%. Like even when it comes to, like, I had been experiencing pretty bad cramps in the last year,
Yeah.
and like like the only answer that I'm given is like go on birth control, but there's
Hmm.
no like what's wrong with your body. Like, I don't even know where to go to get the resources that I need. And so it's just like, you're absolutely right. It's like so, and even when it comes to studies, like, if for our listeners who've been listening, like we've talked about this several times, but like women were never taken into account in sleep studies or a lot of other studies because of our hormone changes and how much they fluctuate.
Yeah.
And so you're absolutely right. Like, we're just starting to get researched, which
Yeah.
is,
I
yeah.
learned the most interesting thing the other day, and this is like, like full blown send into women's health, but they just started testing tampons with real blood just recently. It's like stuff like that that's like seems so like duh.
What are we
Like,
doing?
what have we
Like,
been
what?
doing? And it's like, why are we so behind on women's healthcare? This is 2024. So
So
yeah, I think that a lot of women are kind of frustrated and have had a similar experience to you with like, just try birth control. And that seems to be a lot of the solve for many issues in women's healthcare. And I think birth control can help with a lot of things for sure. But I think that getting to the root of what your actual issue is and like being able to run diagnostics and have answers is really important instead of just throwing a birth control option your way and not like fingers crossed that it works for women. I think that's unfair.
without sometimes even discussing like the long-term repercussions, like
Yeah.
there's definitely scenarios where it's like this is the that is the right answer for people, but there's other times where it can mess up your hormones in the
Hmm.
wrong long run, or there's so many factors to be taken into account. So
Yeah.
even though we're not talking about birth
Yeah.
control today, I love it. And yeah, there's just so much. So to
Yeah.
get started, I like to ask every single guest that comes on, just what does wellness mean to you? How do you define wellness?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think wellness is kind of multifactorial. It's partially how you feel.
Mhm.
It's partially like what motivates you. For me, I think that if I feel good, I'm able to be more active. I'm a mom now, so it's really important for me to have the energy to chase my toddler around, even after a full day of, patient care at Built to Move. So wellness to me is like being able to like truly feel like that energy of after work, you're able to still do the things that you love and do it without pain as it relates to my profession. But
Yeah.
yeah, and I think there's so many factors that go into your wellness. It's nutrition, it's exercise, it's mental health, it's a lot of things. But now as I like have transitioned into motherhood, it's like being able to just chase around a toddler is like, what level of wellness am I really at?
No, I love that. And I love the simplicity. It's like, do you have the energy to do the things that you want to do with your life?
Yeah,
And like, if you don't, like, how can we fix that? How
yeah.
can we fix it? Yeah. So, how did you get started in your field? How did you get into chiropractic work? How did you then end up? Have you always worked on women? Like, how did your passion for this start?
Yeah. So I was a college athlete. I played volleyball up at Whitworth, and that's where I met Justin. And all through my volleyball career at Whitworth, I was seeing a chiropractor. And I never really, luckily, had to deal with any like significant injuries during my volleyball career. And I, I think it's a combination of like being preventative with my care, but also just like having a good team of healthcare providers that
Mhm.
knew what they were doing. And so I knew I wanted to go into healthcare. And I think my sophomore and junior year, I really started to like take that seriously. It like shadowed a lot of different professions and a lot of different people in those professions to kind of see where my interests really like sparked. And I loved the world of chiro, not only because I had like been a patient of chiro care, but I just felt like you could be so much more hands-on with a patient's care.
Yeah.
And rehab exercises are amazing and we are able to give those to patients, but really like the ability for a patient to go home and do those exercises falls like on a lot of, are we successful, are we getting better? And that's still the case here, but I also feel like the chiro side of things has a lot of manual therapy that we're able to actually provide to a patient, so they're walking out of our door going, oh my gosh, I already feel relief. And I loved that. So I met Justin obviously at Whitworth, my husband, and we went to chiro school together. And he was also a college athlete, and we were just kind of like, oh my gosh, there's like this a sports undertone in our chiropractic curriculum, but there's nothing in Spokane kind of like that. Like the athletic training room for like the lifestyle athlete. Like you graduate from a high school or from college as an athlete, and then you don't really have a resource for like pain or, oh, something weird kind of flared up while I was on a run, or
Which
I
athletes,
yeah.
sorry to interrupt, like athletes we put our bodies through
Yeah.
so much, and then afterwards just be like released into the
Yeah.
world. We're
Yeah.
like, I'm in pain now. My back hurts. Like, what do
Yeah.
I do? Yeah.
Yeah, and your body is a lot less malleable when you're in your 30s and 40s and 50s than it is when you're 18 in high school or going into college. So it's amazing to have those resources at that age. But it's also amazing to have those resources when your body
When
is
you need them.
definitely not like used to the load that it's getting put onto it with sports or whatever you choose to do. But anyway, so we saw that there was like the need for that in Spokane. Like something where people could like go and really feel like they're getting not just adjusted like a chiropractic appointment, but like actually listened to, like evaluated, and then all the manual therapy that we actually learn in school. And I think our profession kind of like gets a reputation for a quick adjustment, and while that's beneficial for a lot of people, I really don't, I personally feel like healthcare is so all encompassing. Knowing about somebody's background, knowing their stress in life, knowing their occupation, their hobbies, that's going to lead to so much more success in their outcomes versus a quick, like, in and out appointment. And that's just not in the world of chiro either. I think it's in the world of a lot of medicine, but unfortunately, that's not always on the provider. It's a lot of times on what insurance companies are reimbursing. But anyway, I'm tangenting.
No,
um,
I love that that's your approach though,
yeah,
because you need, whether you're dealing with like the physical body and like rehab and pain, or whether you're dealing with like acne or like whatever part of your
yeah,
body it is, all of healthcare should be looking at you all encompassing. Yeah.
yes, yeah,
And I love that you guys focus on that. And it's sad that that's not the norm.
yeah,
And that, I mean, it makes sense because the insurance is like a business as well. But
yeah,
like, we talk about this on the podcast all the time, but that's where like, is private pay really more expensive if you're
right,
like in the long run? It's like
yeah,
if you're actually dealing with the root cause, but
yeah,
tangent.
totally.
Yeah.
I could go on a whole other episode of that, girl.
Today's podcast is brought to you by the Premium Center for Regenerative Medicine and Stem Cell Therapy in the Northwest, Northwest Center for Regenerative Medicine. Get back to the activities that you love without needing surgery. You can book your appointment at nwc4rm.com. Again, that's nwc4rm.com. This podcast is also brought to you by Rare Wellness Supplements. You can head over to rareplanethealth.com to get your supplements. My personal favorite is the premium fish oil filled with omega 3s. Again, you can go to rareplanethealth.com and get the supplements that you most need to support your health and wellness today. Lastly, this podcast is also brought to you by Rare Wellness. Rare Wellness is located on the South Hill in Spokane and is one center that provides all the wellness tools that you could need. Whether you're looking for a hands-on premium intimate yoga studio with a therapeutic emphasis, bar classes, Tai Chi classes, if you're looking for skincare treatments, injectable, hydrofacial, microneedling, organic spa treatments, if you're wanting to get therapeutic massage or book functional medicine appointments to get down to the root cause of your inflammation, Rare Wellness is the place for you. Whatever your wellness needs are, they have it covered. So to book your appointment today, go to rarewellness.com. Again, go to rarewellness.com and mention this podcast for 10% off when you're booking. Okay, time to get back to the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, we moved back here and Built to Move kind of became what it is. And then, like I said before, we have a toddler. And she's 2.5 now, but 2.5 years ago, I became a mom. And I just feel like my whole like vision of like what women's health and what moms really go through, like body change wise, like totally changed. Like I just had this whole new lens on it. And I still love, love, love working with my athletes, and I still get tons of those patients in my office, but I just have this like deep passion for the moms that I get. It's just like I don't know, it's like this camaraderie that you're like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what you went through, or I know exactly how your body feels right now. And not just your body, but your mental health. I know what you're going through. So that's just kind of been like where my heart has shifted. Um, but yeah, that's the story.
No, I love that. I love that it was something that like you experienced in like this transition into motherhood, and then being able to be like, hey, there's a need for this, and like
Yeah,
there's a lot of solutions. Like, how can I fill this need in my community, which is just so cool.
yeah,
Um, Also, like being a mom in itself, I feel like is its own, it's its own sport.
yeah,
Like you're chasing this kid around, like you're taking care of your family. Like there is so much that goes into like the day in day out, and like you said, the changes that your body goes through during pregnancy. So
yeah,
let's talk pregnancy. Obviously you were pregnant.
yeah,
What was your pregnancy experience like? Like, did you experience a lot of pain during pregnancy? What do you see typically with clients?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel very fortunate. I had a very healthy pregnancy with very minimal pain, which I know is not the case for a lot of women. Um, I feel like my activity level definitely dropped off during my pregnancy. And looking back, I wish that I would have been more active during my pregnancy, because I think that my postpartum has been much harder than my pregnancy ever was, and still to this day, and it's been 2.5 years. So um, I had a very healthy pregnancy, very minimal pain until the end, when your belly is just like, you know, 9,000 feet in front of you and your back hurts because of that. And that's pretty common. But I would say the most common things that I see in my office during pregnancy are low back and hip pain, round ligament pain, is the big ligament in the front of your belly while you're pregnant. And then I would say well, your boobs grow during pregnancy. I'm sure you know that too. So upper back pain starts to become an issue as well. And then freshly postpartum, that seems to be where a lot of things shift is kind of upper body because I call it mom syndrome in my office. It's not an official diagnosis, but I think it is because you're just like this all the time and you're looking down at a baby all the
In your
time.
office,
Yeah, yeah. So
I
that's
love
kind
it.
of the main things that I see.
No, that makes so much sense. So what is healthy during pregnancy? This is a question that, I have and so many of my friends have. But like I feel like there's so many mixed opinions on this. There's some people who are like lifting weights is great for you, and other people are like, don't lift anything heavy, and other people are like still running marathons. Like
Yeah,
until like the week before their baby comes out, and other people are just yoga. Like, is it really different for each person? Like, what is a healthy pregnancy? What is healthy to do during pregnancy? How
yeah.
do you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is absolutely person to person dependent. I have literally all of the like clients that you just stated, all of that as patients, like from people that were very active before their pregnancy and now they're not doing anything because that's what their body is craving, to
Yeah.
people that are, CrossFitting every day during their pregnancy. And that's amazing. And there's like the whole realm in between. So,
I can't even do that not pregnant.
no, same, same. I'm like,
Is it?
you go,
Oh.
girl. Yeah. Um, yeah, like Farm Girl is a local Spokane gym and it's female owned, all female in the gym. So many amazing pregnant women at that gym just throwing the barbell around, run like it's incredible. And that's one of the reasons that they're one of my favorite gyms. But yeah, it really is so person dependent. It's partially listening to your body. Pain is a signal from our brain that something is not right. So being able to detect, okay, my low back doesn't feel good when I'm doing this while I'm pregnant is kind of part of that process of, okay, should I go seek care? Should I alter my level of activity? Should I do something different? But yeah, it's so person dependent.
Yeah. Well, no, and I love that you said that, and it's hard to do. I think so many people want a cookie cutter answer
Yeah.
from just medical providers in general of like, or even when it comes to, let's say, like weight loss or anything else, like
Yeah.
eat this, don't do this, run this, don't do like as if it's some formula, when in
Hmm.
reality it's like the hard it's like it's so simple, like be in tune with your body, and
Yeah.
yet that is so hard
Yeah.
because I think especially as women, like we spend so long either like in toxic diet culture or being told to like not look at your needs at all, that like coming back and being in tune with your body enough to just be able to know like is this good for me or not, like for some of us that's like really hard to do.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the more that you are mindful about trying to be in tune with your body, it becomes
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah.
Um, it's like one of those things where a patient walks into my office, I'm like, how you feeling? And some patients are like, they've got their like list ready. They're like, since I saw you, like this. And then others are like, how
I
am I
don't know.
feeling? And I'm like, how often are you checking in with your body throughout the
Yep.
week or throughout your day and going, hey, like I'm hunched over like this all day. Like that's contributing to my back or my neck pain. So I think a lot of it is just that practice of checking in with yourself. How am I feeling not only physically, but mentally and emotionally?
Totally. And then I know um like I know just as women as general, there's this like either mom guilt or just like put everyone else ahead of yourself as well. And so like it's not selfish to like book out that appointment and
Yeah.
take care of yourself, or
Yeah.
like the healthier you are, the healthier you are for everyone around you
Yeah.
too.
It's
So
so cliche, but you cannot pour from an empty cup. Like I tell that to my moms all the time that are like, "Oh, I feel guilty that I'm doing chiro and a massage today," or "Oh, I feel guilty because I'm going to the gym." I'm like, "No, you have to do those things. Like that's what's filling your cup and you're going to be a better mom or a better whatever because of it." So,
no,
I think that the mom guilt thing is like it's so real. I like totally understand the mom guilt thing, but we've got to like start to like let go of it because it's like so toxic for our mental health.
seriously, yeah. I love your analogy, and like I don't know if you've heard of like the alternative analogy of like if you have a full cup and you just like keep pouring into it
Yeah.
and you just don't stop, and it just like it starts overflowing, and then it's like so much easier than like I'm gonna give to
Yes.
every person and there's
Yeah.
nothing left. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Truth.
Um okay, so before we move on from this question, I have to ask. So I'm Eastern European, and in Eastern Europe, all the grandmas are telling you, like, first of all, lifting weights is not, they don't think it's good for
Yeah.
women in general. you know, we already know we have to debunk that. But the second thing is like they're like it's gonna hurt the baby. It's gonna hurt the baby. Like don't lift anything. Is weightlifting okay?
Weightlifting is fine. Yeah. I mean, of course, talk with your OBGYN if you have any concerns about anything else going on in your pregnancy, if you've got any other red flags or things that you're monitoring with your primary care. But weightlifting is completely healthy. Um,
Yeah.
with all bodies, but women's bodies in particular are so incredible and so resilient. And so it's truly, I tell my patients, like, listen to your body. Like, your body is going to tell you if it no longer wants to lift weights or if it no longer wants to go for 7 mile runs while you're pregnant. Like, and it's going to tell you. And if you're in here in pain all the time, that's your signal. But like, you're going to be able to know that
Yeah.
something is off.
No, that is really good advice. And again, it comes back to being in tune. Okay, so when women come into your office, how do you treat them? What do you recommend for pregnant women?
Yeah. So it's usually kind of exciting because I'm like usually one of the first people in their life that knows that they're pregnant because they're like, do you need to know I'm pregnant? I've just found out I'm pregnant. So I've seen patients like finding out they're pregnant at week 3, 4 to like telling me they're pregnant at week 20. So where you start your pregnancy healthcare journey is kind of dependent on whatever you're comfortable with. But I would say at the beginning of pregnancy, most women are totally comfortable with the standard treatment that I do in my office. Um, there are some modifications that I use for manual therapies. We obviously don't want to be like hypervolting right over your pelvis or like rattling your baby around. So there's definitely like some changes in treatment style. But one of the coolest things we just got in our office this year is a pregnancy bolster. So it actually has the belly and boob cutouts so that you can lay face down on your tummy while you're pregnant. And it has been like chef's kiss for my pregnant people. We can do it for Kyra and massage. So it's been really cool to have that kind of added element because you can come in here and like, oh my gosh, I can finally go on my stomach and it's like so
Well, especially
nice.
after months of like, my one of my best friends, she's like a stomach sleeper, and then
Yeah.
that they're trying to start a family now, and it's just like she can no longer sleep on her stomach, and it's like what a relief for people getting
Yeah.
to come in. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and all the different tools and modalities, like that's
Hmm.
awesome.
Yeah.
So just coming back to our intuition, something that I just like wanted to touch on quickly for people listening is like gaslighting your pain as a woman, and like how to start taking yourself seriously. And like I guess two things along that is like, do you see a lot of women like unaware of like their pain, and then you come in and you're like, oh, like is this normal? Like does that happen with patients that you see? And how often do you recommend that people get treated? And like, do you have recommendations, I guess, for people listening?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. So I think what's really interesting is I feel like my female patients feel a lot more validated when I like tell them like, oh my gosh, yeah, like your hip isn't moving well, or you're like lacking extension here, or this muscle is like totally spasmed. And telling somebody that you like have a finding for them is like, oh my gosh, so I'm not crazy. Cause like up until recently, women in healthcare, like they were like diagnosed as hysterical if they were talking about any type of pain. And I think it's probably still happening. So
Yeah.
I think that as a woman, just having a healthcare provider be like, no, yeah, like I definitely feel that. Like, yeah, you have a trigger
Yeah.
point right there. Like, it's really validating, which is so sad. Like, we shouldn't need a doctor to be like,
Yeah.
yes, you do have pain. Like, we should be able to take it for what we're feeling. But yes, sorry, what was the second part of that question?
Uh, well, the second part was about what you recommend for women listening for like treatment
Oh,
plans.
yeah.
But before we even get to that, I want to expand on this a little more. So I was listening the other day about like when women go in to get an IUD, how how there is like whatever, like no painkillers. It's like talking about like anytime women have pain, like it's just like disregarded or like
Yeah.
treated as oh you're sensitive or hysterical. Like when men go in to get a vasectomy, they
Yes.
like put them on like heavy drugs and like it's just it's the whole system is just it's wild to me.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's funny when you sit down and you think about it. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's insane. I saw something about this on Instagram like months back and posted it on my story and I was like, what even is women's healthcare? Like, I just like get on a soapbox about women's healthcare. So many friends responded and they were like, this was literally my IUD experience. And I got an IUD last year and I was kind of talking with patients about, their experiences and it's traumatizing. It's like borderline
No,
traumatizing for people.
it's
And like, your provider's like, just take some ibuprofen. It's like, this
like
is
you're sticking
crazy.
foreign contraption into your uterus. Like it is, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
yeah.
I like it's I can share a personal story. So I got my IUD out shortly after I got it in, and I was having quite a bit of like side effects from it, and just like knew that something was off in my body, and had reached out to my doctor twice, and I was just like, look, something is up, this isn't normal for me, I know my body. And her suggestion was like, we should wait 6 months to just see if it gets better, like this is normal, it's totally normal. And I'm like, I just don't think it is for my body though. And so finally I was like, I just want it out, like I just want to take it out. I gave it a go, we're not doing it. And so she goes in to take it out and she goes, oh, the reason you were having these side effects is it was kind of already coming out on its own. And I'm like, we were just going to leave this in for 6 months to see if it was going to get better. Like, that's just
And
like
imagine you
prime
didn't
gaslighting, I think, of like women's healthcare. It
seriously.
was like, so I was just going to deal with this for 6 months before we were going to see if anything was wrong. Um, and it was just beyond frustrating because I hear it all the time in my office, like crazy stories like that. And then to like experience it yourself is just like, yeah, this is
It
common.
it's horrible, honestly, because like no human in general should be met with like I'm experiencing pain.
Yeah.
Oh, just suck it up, deal with it. Especially
Um,
like imagine if you weren't in it like didn't have enough like autonomy and authority over your own body and like intuition and like experience
yeah.
to know like you know what? No, I'm feeling pain. I need to do something about it.
Yeah.
So people listening to this podcast, all people, but especially if you're a woman listening to this podcast, if the system's not going to do it for you, like do not be afraid to stand up for yourself
Yeah.
and to voice what you need. And if you have a provider who is not taking your pain seriously, like go find either another provider or voice your own needs and make it happen because I'm sorry you experienced that. That's awful. And I have it's just like it's sad because I feel like that is the norm. Like that is the
Yeah.
standard. And I'm it shouldn't be. Like it
Yeah.
just shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell patients a lot, like finding healthcare providers can be a dating experience. Like look at it like that. If it's
Yeah.
not a fit, it's okay to go find a different one. It's okay to fire your doctor. It's okay to fire, I call it firing them, but it's okay to go find somebody who's going to take you seriously, who's going to align with what's important to you in your healthcare, what your goals are, like somebody who's actually going to listen to you. I think there are good providers out there. Like you just have to actually do
Yeah.
the work, which is sad, but
I love that you described it as a dating experience because I think that's exactly what it is. It's like,
yeah.
and don't, I think, especially sometimes for people who don't have any background in medicine, it can feel intimidating if they're like, there's this like power difference. And it's like, well, maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about. And again, like,
Mhm.
don't be afraid to listen to your intuition. Just like you were saying, like, go try different providers, like, see who's the best fit. And like you said, just like in dating, just because you went on a date with one person and they were horrible doesn't mean you need to stick around. Like,
Totally. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. No,
Yeah.
that's so good. Today's podcast is brought to you by the Premium Center for Regenerative Medicine and Stem Cell Therapy in the Northwest, Northwest Center for Regenerative Medicine. Get back to the activities that you love without needing surgery. You can book your appointment at nwc4rm.com. Again, that's nwc4rm.com. This podcast is also brought to you by Rare Wellness Supplements. You can head over to rareplanethealth.com to get your supplements. My personal favorite is the premium fish oil filled with omega 3s. Again, you can go to rareplanethealth.com and get the supplements that you most need to support your health and wellness today. Lastly, this podcast is also brought to you by Rare Wellness. Rare Wellness is located on the South Hill in Spokane and is one center that provides all the wellness tools that you could need. Whether you're looking for a hands-on premium intimate yoga studio with a therapeutic emphasis, barre classes, Tai Chi classes. If you're looking for skincare treatments, injectable, hydrofacial, microneedling, organic spa treatments, if you're wanting to get therapeutic massage or book functional medicine appointments to get down to the root cause of your inflammation, Rare Wellness is the place for you. Whatever your wellness needs are, they have it covered. So to book your appointment today, go to rarewellness.com. Again, go to rarewellness.com and mention this podcast for 10% off when you're booking. Okay, time to get back to the episode. So for people listening to this podcast, what do you recommend for treatment? Like just women in general, like should is chiropractic care for everyone? Like is body work for everyone? How often should you be getting treated if you're pregnant versus not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think body work is for everyone. Our bodies are moving every day. And it's like if you were to use your car and never put gas in it, go get an oil change, get your tires, or like, that's such a cheesy analogy. But it's true. Like, our bodies move, we're chasing kids, we're going to the gym, even if you're working a desk job, like, that is strain on your body. So, I think body work in general is for everyone, whether that's massage, acupuncture, chiro, physical therapy. Like, there's so many realms of body work, but I think everyone should be getting some type of body work for
Yeah.
themselves. Um, as far as frequency, that again is person dependent. So I have some patients that love to come every 2 weeks. That feels great on
Yeah.
their body. I have some that love to come every month. That feels good on their body. I have some that find that twice a year is amazing on their body, and that's great too. So I always tell patients, like, when you're coming to me in acute care, I'm going to be the one at the wheel. Like, it's a little bit more intense to get you feeling back to where normal is for you. So I'll recommend usually a little bit more frequency or a little bit longer appointments so that we can actually fix or help whatever's going on, get you back to normal. And then at that point, you get to like take the wheel. What are you doing at home? How often are you working out? How often are you putting strain on your body? And then you can kind of judge, oh, okay, it's been 3 months since I saw you, and month two, I was starting to get tight and I couldn't wait for this appointment. Okay, well, maybe you're more of a 2 month person right now. So it really is person dependent. And I also think that's super important in somebody's healthcare journey is
Yeah.
not having a cookie cutter, you know,
Yep.
experience for everyone where I'm like, oh, every single patient I see comes to see me once a month. Like, everybody's
Totally.
bodies are different. So your treatment should be different and your treatment plan should be different for everyone. So I really like to like get to that phase of feeling back to normal. And then at that point, I'm like, okay, let's kind of experiment a little bit. What feels good for you? And then you get to
Find your,
steer the ship.
let's find your maintenance for optimal like
Yeah.
thing, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, I absolutely love that. And I think that is an absolute green flag for people listening in providers. It's like if it's a cookie cutter treatment, it's probably not optimized for you,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, no, that is so good. For pregnant women in particular, what month do you let's say like someone who they're pregnant, their body is changing. Do you have a recommendation of like, should they be doing this every month? Is it something that you can just do like once before? What about pre versus postpartum care?
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah, great question. I feel like I'm giving you like a little bit of the same answer on this one, but it's kind of person dependent. So it depends on your level of activity during pregnancy, your level of pain during pregnancy. I say like if we have like the most generic, I'll just use myself for example. Like I had Justin work on me like maybe once every 3 to 4 weeks at the beginning of my pregnancy, and then as belly started to grow, hips
yeah,
started to feel a little bit more discomfort, I like ramped up that care. And of course, like as you get closer to delivery, making sure that your pelvis is moving really well, making sure that your low back is in not only like in a good position but feels healthy for you, is obviously going to make delivery less uncomfortable. Fingers crossed. So I think that kind of ramping up towards the end of that is what worked well for me, and that's what seems to work well for a lot of patients. I like to kind of let like handhold a patient and be like, what do you think? Like, that was 4 weeks since I saw you. How do you feel with that? And usually their gut is, oh, I think I need to like start coming a tiny bit more frequently. Let's shoot for like 3 weeks or let's shoot for 2 weeks. And then
yeah.
like towards the end, they're like, I could be in here every day if I wanted to, like get this baby out of me. So it really is just person dependent. Um, and
Man,
yeah,
It's so cool that you get to journey with people. Like,
Yeah,
what a beautiful thing, like to get to be there. Like you said, you end up being like one of the first people that knows, and then
so fun.
getting with them throughout that whole journey is just super cool.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, how beautiful.
it's so fun.
One more thing I want to touch on is there are so many women who I feel like just like don't know their anatomy or their
Yeah,
bodies or like, that self awareness, and it's just like what are maybe some generic recommendation you have for people to like start getting more in tune with their bodies, or just maybe like for any woman listening, if they're like, you know what, like I maybe can't come into Built to Move today,
yeah,
and get an appointment. But what are a couple of things that they can just implement in their lives to just
yeah.
start to feel a little bit better?
Yeah, well, I mean, I always preach movement. So even if that's a walk or some light stretching, if that's all we can tolerate, amazing, do that. Um, I think for women, pelvic floor health is super important, pregnancy or not. I think there's a lot of pelvic floor dysfunction everywhere, like, all
Yeah,
over our world.
yeah,
So pelvic floor therapy is like become one of my like most referred new things in my office because I just see so many women reap so many different benefits from it. So we've got incredible pelvic floor physical therapists in Spokane that are both insurance based and private pay based. And I got a whole laundry list of them if you would like. But I think that taking care of your pelvic health as a woman, your pelvic floor, and
yeah,
learning how to breathe properly, not only like for labor purposes or for pregnancy purposes, but for like workouts and being able to lift without any incontinence or pain in your low back.
yes,
It's also interconnected with your low back and all the musculature and joints that are in your hips and pelvis. That if your pelvic floor has any level of dysfunction, there's a pretty good there's a pretty like tight relationship with if we can fix whatever's going on with pelvic floor, we're going to have a lot better outcomes with all the manual therapy that we're doing in here as well.
no, that is, I feel like that is such great advice, and also it's one of those things where people can't, you can tell like you can see that from the outside, right?
Yeah.
Like the health of your pelvic
Yeah.
floor. And on top of that, like I don't think we're, again, back to education, like women's bodies, women's education, women's health, like we're not taught that. Like I wish that like if you're not actively seeking it out, it's like you're not really I cannot speak, you are not thought you are not, people don't teach you I can't say this word, people don't teach you like, how to breathe properly, or
Yeah.
like even just understanding pelvic floor health, and like
Yeah.
I like that impacts so much of, like you said, movement, but
Hmm.
also like experiencing pleasure in like sex,
Hmm.
or delivery with a baby, or just like, and even let's just talk about breath for a second, like lung capacity, like
Yeah.
that's not something that we are really like training or like looking at for the typical person a lot of times, but like the health benefits and like in your health span and like your longevity is like huge from that. So like there's like so much more intricate aspects of like your health that you can look into,
Yeah.
uh, that can have exponential effects beyond just like, it's not always about aesthetics, it's not like, it's like that's very easy to look at online, but like what about all of this other stuff that can have like exponential effects on like your, how you feel in life, like how
Yeah.
healthy you actually are, both externally and internally, like your organs, your pelvic floor, your lung capacity, like your whatever, all this
It's
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's our bodies are so amazing, but it's seriously all so interconnected. And
Mhm.
like I had a patient who was dealing with like significant neck pain, significant headaches, and she was just breathing up here all day long, just using all of her accessory muscles to breathe. So we like referred to pelvic floor therapy, learned how to breathe correctly, just did some like very basic breath work. And oh my gosh, she's never had any breath pattern that was normal for years and years and years. And yeah, of course your neck and your head is going to hurt because of that. You're using muscles that aren't supposed to be primary respiratory muscles to breathe all day long and all night long. So it's all so interconnected. So it's not even like pelvic floor therapy for just you had a baby or you're going to have a baby, but it's like learning how to breathe and learning like how to use your diaphragm, how to use your pelvic floor muscles is so so important, especially as
Also,
women.
yeah, 100%. That is, it's crazy. And I love what you said about, just even having the awareness to like know how it's all so interconnected, and really like it all matters. Like it all
Yeah.
matters, and like get a person holistically. If people today forget everything but one thing, what would you have to say to them?
Oh my gosh, that's a great
No
question.
pressure.
Oh no, I can't pick like one thing. Okay, well, I'm gonna go with like where our business is like modeled around, which is movement. So, firm believer in movement is medicine. Um, whether it's just walking, like I said, or it's going to the gym, or it's doing yoga, or it's chasing your kids or your grandkids,
Yeah,
movement is so important for your body. And the second that you stop moving, your body is super efficient and it just kind of like learns that that's no longer important to spend energy on. So,
yeah,
like, I hear a lot like, I used to be so flexible, but now I'm not. Or I used to lift so heavy, but now I don't. And I'm like, well, do you still stretch? Do you still work on your flexibility? Well, no. It's like, well, it's kind of use it or lose it. Our bodies are super smart. Why is it going to spend energy remembering how to do the splits if we never do the splits anymore? So,
right.
movement, I think, is like the biggest piece of your health. And movement's also going to be such a great diagnostic tool for your body. And you're going on a walk and, oh, my ankle feels weird, why is it doing that? And so you can learn a lot from your body just by moving it. Yeah, and I think
I
it's
love
just all encompassing. It makes your mental health better, it makes your
that.
physical health better, obviously. So I think there's
It's
just a
funny,
lot.
like every expert I talk to, it doesn't matter whether we're talking about like lifestyle, whether we're talking about sleep, whether we're talking about mental health, whether we're talking about physical health, like movement seems to be like the core of all of it. Like
Yeah,
you can do all the other fancy things. If you're not moving, your body is not truly healthy. So
yeah,
if people want to see you and
yeah,
book an appointment with you, how do they do that? Where can they find you?
yeah. Well, we have a website, built2movechiropractic.net. We're on Instagram, built to move chiro, and that has a direct link to our online booking. Yeah, you can reach out to us there. Um, yeah,
Perfect. Sweet. Well, Dr. Jelena, I am so happy that I got to talk to you today. I feel like I learned so much, and I'm actually really excited to share this with all of my pregnant friends and be like,
yay!
hey, go make an appointment.
I love
Go make
it.
an appointment. You don't have to be sitting here in pain all day.
Yes,
Uh, yeah, no, thank you so much. And I loved our entire conversation. I think particularly like just the more I talk to women in healthcare, especially the ones who are like doing something to change it, like the more excited I get because I'm like, okay, there's hope. Like we're
yeah,
moving in the right direction.
yes,
And like it's good for me to be like, you know what? Like I should believe my pain. Like I need to find a provider who cares.
yes.
Um yeah, thank you so much. Like
Oh,
seriously.
thank you so much for having me. And that makes me so happy that you feel that way. And there are so many amazing providers in Spokane that like are truly out there changing how healthcare is working. So I'm happy you feel that way about people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I might be reaching out and asking for some references when I when I have
Yeah.
stuff I need.
Yes.
Uh, but
I
yeah,
love it.
thanks so much for being on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.